Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S., The Ocean of Knowledge and Truth. Part 1. The Beginning of Light. In the peaceful city of Medina, on the blessed day of 17th Rabi al-Awwal, a light entered this world. This was Jafar al-Sadiq, A.S., a man whose knowledge would illuminate hearts for generations to come. He was born into the noble family of Ahlulbayt. His father was Muhammad al-Bakir, A.S., a scholar of his time. From a very young age, Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S., showed signs of deep wisdom. He was calm, thoughtful, and spoke only with truth. The ocean of knowledge. As he grew older, his knowledge became across the world. People traveled from far lands, just to sit in his presence, just to ask one question. His school in Medina became one of the greatest centers of learning in history. More than 4,000 students studied under him. Among them were famous scholars like Abu Hanifa and Malik ibn Anas. But Imam's knowledge was not limited. He spoke about religion, fiqh, science, philosophy, ethics. One day, someone asked him, "What is knowledge?" He replied, "Knowledge is a light that Allah places in the heart." Trials of truth. But speaking the truth always comes with a price. The rulers of that time were unjust. They feared the influence of Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S. They tried to silence him. They threatened him. They placed him under pressure. But the Imam never bowed down. He stood firm like a mountain, always speaking truth, no matter the danger. Character and mercy. Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S., was not just a scholar. He was the living example of kindness and patience. One day, a man insulted him publicly. People around him became angry. They were ready to respond. But the Imam smiled and said, "If what you say about me is true, may Allah forgive me, and if it is false, may Allah forgive you." This was his character. This was his greatness. The tragic martyrdom. Then came the most painful chapter. On the 25th of Shawwal, the reached its peak. The Imam was poisoned. His body became weak, but his faith remained unshaken. Even in pain, he remained patient. And then, the light returned to its creator. The city of Medina wept. Hearts were shattered. Ending message. Even today, the life of Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S., teaches us, seek knowledge. Stay patient. Always stand with truth. His story is not just history. It is a guide for every generation. The ocean of knowledge. As Jafar al-Sadiq, A.S., grew older, his name began to spread far beyond the streets of Medina. People traveled from distant lands, crossing deserts and cities, just to sit in his presence, just to ask a single question. A school like no other. His home became more than a house, it became a center of knowledge. A place where hearts were enlightened and minds were awakened. More than 4,000 students gathered around him, learning day and night. Among them were great scholars like Abu Hanifa, Malik ibn Anas. They all benefited from his wisdom. Knowledge beyond limits. But Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S., was not limited to one field. He spoke about fiqh, Islamic law, tafsir, Quran explanation, philosophy, science and nature, human behavior and character. His knowledge was deep, yet his words were simple. Anyone who sat with him left with a changed heart. A powerful teaching. One day, someone asked, "What is knowledge?" The Imam replied, "Knowledge is not in memorizing many things. Knowledge is a light that Allah places in the heart." These words shocked people, because he didn't define knowledge as information, but as guidance, purity, and truth. Teaching with wisdom. He never forced anyone. He never argued with arrogance. If someone disagreed, he responded with patience. If someone was ignorant, he taught them with kindness. His gatherings were not just lectures, they were experiences. Impact that lives forever. Even today, centuries later, his teachings are still alive. Books are written based on his knowledge, scholars still quote his words. Because true knowledge never dies. Trials of truth. The world around Jafar al-Sadiq, A.S., was changing. The Umayyad rule was collapsing, and the Abbasid dynasty was rising to power. But no matter who ruled, one thing remained the same, fear of truth. Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S., was not a political leader, yet his influence was greater than kings. People loved him, trusted him, followed his words, and that made the rulers uneasy. The Abbasid Caliph al-Mansur saw this growing influence, and began to fear that people might turn away from his. So he decided to control the Imam. Pressure and threats. Orders were sent. Spies were placed around the Imam. He was summoned to the court again and again, questioned, watched, tested. They tried to trap him in debates, to prove him wrong in front of others. But every time, the Imam answered with such wisdom, that even his enemies were left speechless. A test of strength. Despite constant pressure, Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S., never changed his path. He did not fight with swords. He fought with truth. He did not raise an army. He raised minds. Even when threatened with imprisonment, he remained calm. Even when surrounded by enemies, he spoke with dignity. Lonely resistance. There were moments when the pressure became unbearable. Friends were afraid, students were watched, supporters were silenced. Yet the Imam stood alone. Not because he had no followers, but because truth often stands alone. A timeless lesson. This part of his life teaches us something powerful. Real strength is not in power, but in standing firm when everything is against you. Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S., showed the world that you don't need a throne to lead, you don't need an army to win, you only need truth, and the courage to stand by it. Character, mercy and true greatness. The greatness of Jafar al-Sadiq, A.S., was not only in his knowledge, but in his character, his mercy, and his heart. He was a man who lived among people, felt their pain, and responded with kindness, even when he was hurt. When insult was answered with mercy. One day, a man came to him in anger. He began to insult the Imam publicly, using harsh and disrespectful words. People around were shocked. Some became angry. Others were ready to respond. But Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S., remained silent. No anger, no reaction. Then, with a calm smile, he said, "If what you say about me is true, then may Allah forgive me. And if it is not true, then may Allah forgive you." The crowd went silent. The man who insulted him was left speechless. His anger melted into shame. This was not weakness. This was real strength. Helping in secret. The Imam didn't just teach kindness, he lived it. At night, when the city slept, he would quietly carry food on his back. He would go door to door, helping the poor, without revealing his identity. People would receive help, but they didn't know who was helping them. Until the day he left this world. And only then, they realized. It was Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S. Respect even for enemies. Even those who opposed him could not deny his character. He treated everyone with respect, whether they were friends or enemies. He never insulted back, never took revenge. Because his mission was not to win arguments, but to win hearts. A living example. His life teaches us something powerful. Kindness is greater than anger. Patience is stronger than revenge. Character is more powerful than words. In a world full of hate, he chose love. In a world full of, he chose mercy. A legacy of the heart. Imam Jafar Sadiq, A.S., showed that true greatness is not in how much you know, but in how you treat others. His knowledge inspired minds, but his character changed hearts.